And moving on, former U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor Victoria Coates is visiting Israel to discuss her new book, The Battle to Save the Jewish State. Victoria has held numerous top roles in politics over the past 2 decades, and ILTV's Mayan Hoffman caught up with her Monday evening at the Misgav Institute for National Security and Zionist Strategy in Jerusalem. Let's take a look.
I want to get started by actually talking a little bit about the conflict. Your book, obviously centers on October 7th and the aftermath and what we have seen. What do you believe caused Israel's shift from the peace from the of the Abraham Accords that we had, this wonderful peace and prosperity, to what we had on October 7th and now the multiple wars and fronts that have ensued?
No, it was really an extraordinary kind of trajectory from September 20th of 2020, when President Trump announced the Abraham Accords. We had the wonderful signing ceremony on the South Lawn of the White House, and it looked like we were headed towards, a new era for the Middle East. It took just 3.5 years of the Biden-Harris administration returning to the Obama era policies of embracing Iran, of trying to elevate the Palestinians as an equal to Israel, to result in October 7th. And it really was very striking to me last spring that you had these two clear trajectories. You can see the policies that come to these results. And I thought that needed to be front and center in front of everybody as we went into the election, and then as a new administration started to form.
So how is it possible that what we saw on October 7th didn't just stay in Israel, but in fact, we started to see it really spread all the way to the United States, to the college campuses, the rise in anti-Semitism? What do you believe connects those two entities?
Well, and that's why I think it's important. This particular book, the subtitle of which is How Israel and America Can Win, was written by an American to talk about what's happening in our country, because this isn't a Jewish issue or an Israeli issue. This is a Western civilization issue, and they might be coming for Israel right now, but the United States is next. Make no mistake about it. And so I was very honored. My old boss, Senator Ted Cruz, wrote the foreword of the book all about what is happening on U.S. campuses, and what he did last year in Congress with Representative Elise Stefanik, who's about to become our UN ambassador. I think she'll do a great job defending both the United States and Israel at that questionable body. But then there's a ton in the book about the history of the U.S.-Israel alliance, why it is important, and why these folks have gone through academia to try to undermine that relationship and cast the legitimacy of both of our countries into question.
So, Victoria, let's go back to this whole idea in your book that you talk about this tie between people who hate Israel, anti-Israel haters, are also anti-American. They actually hate America. Explain to me the premise of this and how you know this is true.
Now, this is the most extraordinary phenomenon, and it dates back actually all the way to the 60s in the United States, became particularly virulent in the 90s on, and it's called settler colonialism. And the concept here is that the United States and Israel uniquely are countries where settlers came and took over from the indigenous people lands that were rightfully those of others, and that they are inherently racist, inherently imperial. I mean, regardless if you're an inclusive democracy, regardless if you're the product of immigrants, but you're still imperial and racist. And for that reason, fundamentally illegal. And to spare everybody else, I went through all of the college curricula that are teaching this at our finest schools in the United States. This is Penn, this is Columbia, this is Harvard. Go down the list. It's all of our Ivies, all of our great state universities have these curricula that are peer-reviewed articles about how the ICC should declare Israel illegal, and then by extension the United States.
Now, we've had these last 4 years under the Biden administration. As you mentioned, we went from the height of the Abraham Accords to where we are today. But there was different results in the elections, and Kamala Harris did not win. In fact, former U.S. President Donald Trump is now our president-elect, and in another month and a half, we're going to see him in the White House. So give me a vision. How are things going to change?
I think we're down to 52 days. Not that I'm counting, but no, I think this was a big issue in the election, because you had a lot of Jewish Americans who found that they were unable to pull a trigger as they had historically for the Democrats, and you had a lot of Muslim Americans who actually didn't like what the Biden administration was doing, but did like the fact that they knew where Trump stood. And that's kind of the paradox that got us to the Abraham Accords is Trump's historic actions standing with Israel, his move of the embassy, the recognition of the Golan Heights. You can go down the list. That led Arab partners and neighbors to say, okay, we know where you stand. We want to stand with you. This is what we will do. President Trump will bring that clarity of vision. I think he will bring that unabashedly pro-Israel stance because he understands this is a practical matter for the United States. I wrote the book because the United States needs Israel. We need Israel in the region, and we need Israel globally to be a partner and ally to us. And that's what I think Donald Trump will focus on.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.